We're here because we believe we are making real progress toward a comprehensive deal. But as I have said many times, and as I discussed with President Obama last night, we are not going to sit at the negotiating table forever. We also recognize that we shouldn't get up and leave simply because the clock strikes midnight.
If there is one word that is completely and utterly useless in the Iran nuclear talks, it is the word deadline. A new one almost every day, a new miss almost every day. The excuse is getting incredibly old. Those in the world who know how Iran is using these talks to string America and everybody else along are having a good laugh at our expense. And one can only guess what Iran is still working on behind the scenes. Our guest is president of the International American Council, Harvard scholar, and a leading expert on American foreign policy and the Middle East. Welcome Majid Rafizadeh to the Hardline. Majid, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ed.
Let's get right to it with what John Kerry said. Do you think that the American delegation has the guts to walk away?
I don't think so. Honestly, I think President Obama and the delegate that he has chosen, I think they are so afraid of walking away. And the interesting thing that is the Iranian leader, as I look into the politics of Iran and as I read into what their officials are saying on the Farsi, Persian websites, and media, they exactly are exploiting the weakness, the fear of the U.S. negotiating team to walk away. And if you have noticed, it was a few days ago, they just came up with a new demand. They want the UN arms embargo on Iran to be lifted. Why? Because they know that President Obama and John Kerry and U.S. negotiating team are so desperate for a deal, and they don't want to miss the deadline. They want to get a nuclear deal that they can give any concession to Iran. So again, I think Iranians are exploiting U.S. weakness to walk away from the talks, and they exactly know that the fear that President Obama has in case the nuclear talks fail.
Majid, there is one line that really caught my attention in the reports. The parliamentary speaker for Iran, Ali Larijani, said, and I quote, Iran's nuclear staff are ready to accelerate nuclear technology at a higher speed than before. Now, is that just a threat and just throwing it out there, or do you think that they're serious and they really are ready to go and go at it hard?
Well, you know, there are two issues here. They are afraid from additional sanctions. But at the same time, again, as I mentioned before, they are threatening, I think, Obama administration, and they know that there is really no solid power. There is no solid leadership in the administration. So they're trying to threaten the administration that, you know, if you don't give up to us, if you don't accept our demands to lift all UN sanctions, our ballistic missiles on our military and arms system, then we're going to accelerate.
But do you think it's rhetoric? Do you think it's all just rhetoric?
I think so far, I think it's rhetoric. But again, I have to add that we don't know what they're doing inside the country. Even IAEA, they don't know exactly what is happening inside the country. They might even now that we are talking, they might be even working on accelerate on reaching a nuclear bomb, on reaching nuclear weapons, in reaching more uranium. Because IAEA don't have now access to Iran's fundamental military sites, which were suspected of using a nuclear test. So we don't know. They might be even now they're working on the issue. But again, I think they're afraid of additional sanctions. But in case, but at the same time, their ambition is to become a nuclear state and to have nuclear weapons.
I've only got a minute left, and as a Middle East specialist, I need to ask you this. Donald Trump is really getting a tremendous amount of attention here in America with everything that he's talking about. One of the statements he made that people are not paying a lot of attention to is where he was talking about what's happening with ISIS, the Islamic State terrorists, and he said, I'd bomb the hell out of the oil fields in order to go over and actually get that war done. What do you think of that statement and bombing the oil fields? Smart move or not?
Well, I think you have to, you know, if that move combined with some kind of forces on the ground, I think that would probably will be the greatest blow to the Islamic State. Because, there are two things. One, the financial means that they're getting, we have to block that. And I think but also we have to consider the oil market. But at the same time, I think we have to have some forces on the ground to.
So it's not a bad, it's not a great idea, but not a bad idea, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, it has to be combined with other tactics.
There you go. I mean, that's the whole thing. We're talking about the money here because the oil fields would stop them and stop the flow of money, which is even what Barack Obama has said recently as well. Majid Rafizadeh, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure we're going to talk again about another deadline very soon, my friend. Take care.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ed.
All right, when we come back, it is the end of an era in South Carolina, but it is just the beginning of a new fight over nothing more than a piece of cloth. It's much more than that. Stay with us. We'll continue right here on the fastest 60 Minutes in News.